Okay, so something I've said occasionally in the past on my Facebook comments, people don't really seem to understand what I'm getting at there. But my personal feeling is, despite the fact that it's the way everybody's heading, that Bunkai, as the answer to everything, is a bit of a red herring, and people are just going down another rabbit hole with it. So I think we should talk about that. I think we should look at that and put it in some sort of context.
So I think the issue here potentially is that bunkai is a word that people use for a massive different amount of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you start looking at bunkai, oyo, henka, and all that sort of stuff,
yeah,
I stopped using all those terms mainly because I'm probably not even using half of them correctly, and there's a lot in it. So everything gets lumbered under bunkai. But
yeah, well, bunkai is the wrong word anyway.
Exactly. And what I'm thinking of is that is completely different to what a lot of people think. So I think a lot of people, and I suppose it depends where you are on a journey. You break down your kata, you're looking at these applications, and going, oh, right, so that's the movement. And then that's it. Whereas really, that's just a small step on a path to, well, what are you doing with that application? How are you training it? How does that integrate into your system? Does it overlap with Kion? Does it overlap with Kumite? Does it overlap with pad work? How does it work?
Yeah.
And are you? And I think the trouble is a lot of people, because, well, like us probably, we started the bunkai from kata.
Yes.
Which is because we've done the kata already. That's not necessarily the way you should be teaching beginners.
No, it's if, again, we've said many times before that if you were building from the ground up, that's not the way you would do it. So a lot of people are going down that path because they're trying to reverse engineer and backfill their knowledge from 10, 20, 30, 40 years of training in some cases. But the rabbit hole I see opening up now is people are collecting kata, and then they're collecting applications from those kata in the way that they collected. The more kata you know, the more you know. The more complicated your combinations are, the more you know as you get higher up the grades. And people are just collecting applications or bunkai from various kata rather than understanding the lessons behind them. And this is what worries me, is the fact that people are just they feel like they're doing something real because it involves partners and it looks realistic, but it is just a collection of moves again, and they're not looking in depth. They're not looking at the knowledge, and they say, oh well, we've learned the applications to that kata, we're going to go and do the applications to another kata next time. What the fuck are you learning different then? What have you learned from that one? If, as we've said many times, I do the techie thing over and over again. So it's the same old nonsense, but it's a very simple 20 move kata. If I never did anything else in my life, I could put everything I know around that kata, use that kata as a training tool, and not need to ever look at anything else outside it. That's not because techie is special, it's because I could do that with any kata.
Well, that's what I was thinking about.
Why do I need 30 of them?
When we talk about syllabus, so we do the Heian kata first, then we do techie, and the whole point is you do the Heian kata, you learn how they work, you learn all the different bunkai and how you can get it out of those kata. Then you get techie, which looks totally different, and then you go, but it's the same.
Yeah.
And that's when the penny can start, or should start dropping. You go, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but this is it should start to drop, but this isn't what has been sold to the market. What has been sold to the market is bunkai is the way forward. You need to do this kata, you need to do this kata, you need to learn the unique lessons in every kata. And that's marketing horseshit. That's not reality. If you're doing that, you're collecting techniques exactly the same way as you did in 3K. You're collecting.
Norris has written a great article about that donkeys years ago. I think it's in oh god, but it's in one of his books about, I did, if I'm walking down the street and I haven't learned the 26th Shotokan kata, will I potentially get beat up if I'm attacked in the wrong way because I didn't learn the unique skills from that? And then he just goes on about what bollocks it is.
Well, yeah, we're in the process of rewriting our syllabus at the moment before we go back into the dojo, and the bunkai. I'm even going to call it bunkai, I don't know, but so we're teaching the applications, not really, they are kind of linked because we're going to teach the kata after. So at the present we teach them side by side, So we teach the applications and the kata so people can link them together. So our first grade, there's going to be no kata at all. So we're going to teach them some principles, and then afterwards the kata will be a reminder of those principles that they've learned. So we are still linking Bunkai to kata. We're actually linking kata to our applications.
Yeah.
Rather than our
which is the way it would originally,
rather than our applications to kata. Yeah.
You know, which brings us round full circle to the whole applications don't come from kata. Kata come from applications.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they are the end result of your training and the drills that you do. They are not the start position that you pull your training from. They only become that when you don't know the fundamentals behind it, and you've been taught the surface shell, and now you're trying to backfill. So, like I say, going forward, it makes no sense doing that. But that's a slightly off-topic thing, because that is just changing the way that you structure how you teach if you're teaching from the ground up, rather than talking to people who've been training for years.
I think that's the issue, isn't it? We've already got the kata, so if I'm teaching somebody new, they don't necessarily need to know the kata, you know, unless we're in COVID times where they can practice those principles on their own.
It still has value as a solo practice. I don't have any problem with kata. What I have problem with is the fact that people learning Bunkai from kata is them doing anything more practical than they were doing before. They're just learning sequences and drills. They're not really thinking it through. They're not learning skills from the ground up. Yeah, if we'd not had a year off, we'd have done this in a seminar a year ago, talking about drills to skills rather than, you know.
Yeah, I remember those old days.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe this September. I've rebooked the hall.
Yeah. So learning to put the applications into practice beforehand, you know, for me, it's the way to do it, and I think that's the way it was done anyway, wasn't it? You would learn to fight, then the kata was a reminder.
Yeah, although that you see a lot of traffic in the traditional stuff where people have come back from somewhere else with a kata they've learned from somebody who developed that kata. But I would still hope that if somebody is not just coming back with that kata, they've spent time with that person,
principles.
They brought the kata back after having spent time learning stuff from that instructor, and this is the package that it comes in. We've proved how well that worked with Jan's session at the Bash, 3 or 4 years back, with the 3 island thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
As to how well that works, taking a kata out of context and reverse engineering it.
Jan, if you can't keep to time, reminder here, Jan, if you teach again, I want you on time for a change, you bastard.
Yeah, but that was good. So that was 3. Was that the? You have to have a recap, and it's probably worth it for the listeners anyway. It was 3 islands, 3 masters from 3 islands went and taught to a group.
We had 3 groups, or it might have even been more than 3. I can't remember how many we did.
No, it was a 3 island thing. Yeah,
and they made up a mini kata, if I remember rightly. And then they chose a representative who went to the next island, who then had to teach that kata.
I think the point to step back on that is, while you were on your own island with your own instructor, you learned all the moves and then put them into a kata. So you knew the context, you knew the kata, you understood how it worked.
Yeah.
You then took your top student and they went off to another island and taught people just the kata, the form of the kata.
Not the applications.
Not the applications. They just, because that's our secret in our little.
Yeah.
So you taught them the kata. Then the best person from that island, best student from that island, then went off and taught the kata at a 3rd island. So what you had then was a 2nd generation teaching of the form. And then what happened then on the 3rd island, they had to develop a set of fighting applications from that kata that they had just learned.
Yeah.
And then I think the upshot, Andy, was that you then took the top student from the 1st island who had learned this kata and all the applications, and the top student from the 3rd island where they'd learned the form from somebody intermediate, and then developed their own applications and put them side by side with kata performance and side by side with explaining what the moves meant.
And it was quite interesting.
In 2 generations of transference, the kata had become A, extremely stylized to the style of the karate that the people were doing, and B, the applications bore very little resemblance because they went back to the style and the explanations of the basics they were doing. So it shows how poor kata is as a transmitter of martial information just in its form.
Although the fact that all those people had so much background that they will put over the top of that kata rather than learning it from no background. You see what I mean? So someone with no experience, if you say the original student would go, right, you're doing this because of this, even though we didn't do the explanations, then they'd be led in that way. Whereas if you pass it across to people who already know something, they tint it with their own experience.
Yeah, but that's typically what happened, isn't it?
I'm just,
people would turn up. Well, I've been off training with so and so, and I brought this kata back.
And so, it's the kind of cool stuff you can do at the Bunkai Bash, listeners. Okay.
Well, again,
get yourself to a campsite in Swindon.
This is applied karate in action, isn't it?
Well, not Swindon. Close to Swindon. Swindon is a shithole. Oh, anybody listening to Swindon? It's not really. It's fucking lovely. Shit.
But, I mean, basically, anybody who's interested in applied karate and how it works should be doing that. Anybody involved in the history of it should stop fannying about with taking crap from people who pretend to know what they're talking about and sell it to you as secrets, and do some experimental archaeology, which is exactly what you did with that. You took the situation exactly as it would have been, condensed it down into a very small form, did the experiment, got the results, and you saw the results exactly as you would expect to from the situation that we're in today with the way karate works.